Hello, and welcome to the Sound Up Seattle podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Seattle and Washington sports. I'm your host, Tyler Cartwright, joined as always by my co-host,
John Carey.
And we are here today breaking down basically just the Mariners and a little bit of college basketball. We got to talk a little NCAA tournament championship, but other than that, it's an all Mariners week for y'all, and quite a lot of news, quite a lot of things happening, so I think we can just dive into it. John, anything to say before we get started?
Nope. Mariners roll. Let's go.
All right, here is some Coyote Picnic. All right, John. So, the Mariners today we're recording this. It is Wednesday, April 9th at 6:40 p.m. Pacific Coast time. I'm 2 hours ahead, so I had to do a little math there. But they save the week, I think is how I would put it lightly. If they had lost today's game, which they were down, I believe it was 5-0 at one point, they were able to come back, crawl their way back, and win on a walk-off walk from Randy Arozarena against the rival Houston Astros. Quite the game, quite the thrilling game. I was in the gym just like waiting for that to end because I was like, what is going on in this game? They go 2-4 over this last week. Just give me your initial thoughts about what that means for this team. How do you feel about that 2-4 stretch?
Yeah, danger close, man. I will tell you what. A heck of a win to end up getting the series 2-1 over the Astros. Could not have been better timed as the Mariners had slipped to last place in the AL West over this stretch. And they needed a comeback from 5-0 in the 8th inning to win this series. So we are talking a very different story if this team is not able to pull off the comeback that they end up pulling off. But, with that being said, ultimately, I feel okay about the week. There's a, little bit of recency bias for sure. But the Giants series was competitive. It was a sweep, but we had 2 one-run losses in, games that were fairly high scoring. And then I think we've won the most important series we've played so far, which was this opening series against the Astros. Maybe that'll get one-upped immediately next week with a really big series against the Rangers, but Astros are, at least on paper, the best team that we've played so far, and we played them very competitively. 3 games, 2 wins, and a +1 run differential over that time. So I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think you kind of buried the lead a little bit when it comes to the Giants series. Like the 2 losses were walk-off, or 2 of the 3 losses were walk-off losses that like the Giants just had a turnaround where it's like, the one time that it was because Victor Robles dislocated his shoulder on a diving catch. Otherwise, the guy doesn't advance 2 bases and get to third, and then we go into more extras, and we don't know what happens from there. But it's like these situations where it's not our bullpen pitching that's the problem. It's just inability to score late in the game, or just like, we're not relying on Andres Munoz to close it down because we're in a tie game. He's not the closer. It's in those losses, it was random guys that I can't even remember right now, but tough games. But at that point, you just kind of, whoever can kind of take the last one. And obviously the Giants being at home, it's easier for them to win those close ones at the end. Other than that, we're going to get into floating and floundering, but did you have anything to say with any specific players, anything that went on over the last week in terms of what happened? Obviously we could talk, maybe we just talk injuries right now, Victor Robles and his unfortunate turn of events.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It was a hell of a play that he made on that ball, and just a little unlucky. Now, I don't see players get injured on that play very often. Did you see something that's like, oh, okay, he kind of dove for that wrong, or was that as fluky as it looked to me?
I think the way that he did it was a little bit wrong, I would say. Like, in terms of how he dove, he kind of like fully scorpioned himself into the net. Like, and that might have been because of the distance that he was from the net. Like, he goes in and he's kind of diving, but he's also kind of like trying to step on the shoulder, like the ledge there. So a little bit on him, but I don't want to blame him at all for that circumstance. Like, he's putting his body on the line for this team, and there's nothing that I could say that's not just, this guy is a dude, this guy's a baller. Like, everything that he did and has been doing for this team has been all about hustle, So everybody has been talking about how good it was, in terms of being like a spark for this team and like being like, hey, we got to play now for this guy who just dislocated his shoulder, might need surgery. Like if he needs surgery, he's gone for the season, which sucks. He was like everybody's been saying, our spark plug for the last half a year. And to lose that game 10 is just very, very difficult to deal with. So we'll see how that goes. But it's just tough.
I can't emphasize enough how devastating it would be to lose him for the season. He just brings so much to the team, and just low-key is so necessary. We've seen this offense already, have some highs but have some lows in this season. The engine's been kind of sputtering out of the gate, and he's been one of our most effective offensive players. He's leading the team in hits currently, leading the team, tied for the lead anyway, in doubles. He has been really, really effective for us, and to lose him this early with the offense struggling the way it is, like, we need him. He's a huge part of this team. I'll just spoil the fact that he's not going to be my floater for the week because he may lose his season, which is incredibly tough. But there would be an argument for him. His batting average has climbed 80 points in the last week. He's had a really, really nice week. It's fairly devastating, and I really, really hope that this is a 1 or 2 month recovery, a relatively gentle dislocation that will not require surgery.
Yeah, they said 12 weeks, which usually could be a little bit more, but you think 12 weeks is like 3 months of the season. That's half of the season gone. We'll get to the trade deadline almost before this guy's able to play, which is just a little unfortunate there. And yeah, like I said, if he needs surgery, he's gone for the season. To lose a guy who's hitting 273 and did that last year for you, and his guy who's stolen bases and is just being very active in the games, it's tough. And yeah, there's really not much else to say. Like you said, 12 hits on the season, 273 batting average. He's got 3 stolen bases on the season, but only 7 strikeouts. Like, he's a guy who doesn't strike out, which is awesome, and something that this team desperately needs, obviously, from the last couple seasons. So he's been a very good addition, and it's going to be tough. We got to figure out if he's going to need surgery here pretty soon, because the fans are anxious about that guy. Yeah.
Also leading the team, among qualifying plate appearances in strikeouts is huge. Leading the team, or in the fewest number. I never know how to say that. Leading the team in not striking out. And Donovan Solano has 5 strikeouts and 16 at-bats. Robles has 7 and 44 at-bats. So, yeah, he's been very efficient at the plate. And we just love him. We love this guy.
Yeah.
He's one of our favorites. One of the guys we were most excited about coming into this year. 12 weeks is fine. That sucks, but give me 12 weeks. Just tell me he's coming back. If you say it's the season, that is going to be a huge cloud for me for this entire year. Don't do that to me.
I think I was honestly today, if the Mariners lost to the Astros, I was ready to be done with the Mariners for the season. I was like, I'm one of those guys who's ready to stick with them.
Take a 4-month hiatus.
But I was like, if Victor Robles is gone, if we've lost every single series and tied 1 so far on the season, and to be 4-9 in last place in the AL West, I was like, wipe my hands. I'm not going to watch this team. I'm done. I was like, maybe we just won't deal with it today.
Things are looking good up in Chicago. So we could pivot. Sound up Lake Michigan. Let's go.
But yeah, it was just disappointing. And then I guess we can lead this into the other injury that happened for the Mariners, which was announced today. Ryan Bliss, torn left bicep. Doesn't seem like it's too serious, but he's on the 10-day IL. Had to call up Leo Rivas, who we had kind of sent back down after the Robles injury, or after some shuffling of the roster. And yeah, called up Leo Rivas, Ryan Bliss on the 10-day IL, and it's just like the two little dudes on the team are struggling. And Ryan Bliss had just hit a home run and was just like kind of starting to heat up. I think he had not started the season off too hot, and it was tough. But I think he's just, I don't know how that left torn bicep injury happened. I think he hit a home run yesterday. I don't know when it would have happened, but just tough to see him out as well. He was going to be our kind of starting second baseman for the season.
Yeah, huge. Some big injuries out of the gate to fairly key guys. And yeah, man, it's discouraging. This team, we were talking before, not a lot of depth in this offensive rotation. this is not what you want to see
No.
out of the gates. That's a big reason, like I said, the offense has been sputtering, but a big reason they sit where they currently sit. I do think overall I am kind of encouraged with the way the offense has been performing. They've scored 4 or more runs in 2, 4, 5 of their last 7. And they've all been wins. Their 2 losses coming when they've scored 1 run. So, no surprise there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the goal is to not get discouraged. Injuries happen to everybody. Winning a couple series, showing that we've got enough depth to weather the storm, and getting some encouraging news on Robles would be pretty important. Cubs are 9-6, man. You can always jump ship.
Yeah, I think this next week, and we'll talk about this next set of games towards the end of the pod, but this next week is going to be very important, both for the morale of the team and for just like the team moving forward. Like, where are they going to go? What are we going to see? I think we can talk a little bit about like the replacements for these 2 injuries. Mariners called up Dominic Canzone, the Canzone Calzone man. We love him, but he's no Victor Robles. He's got big power, but he's just never been able to hit off-speed pitches, I think. And then Leo Rivas is the guy who's called up. But I am the most intrigued in this scenario by the fact that Cole Young may have just like randomly gotten the opportunity to just like maybe make a AAA. Whatever happens, it's just like this is like the slightest little opening for Cole Young to try and take some games. And maybe it'll be Ben Williamson and he'll come and play third base instead. But I'm super stoked about Cole Young this season, and I think he's going to get a cup of coffee. It's more about when, and it might have accelerated the timeline for that. So that's the exciting piece of these injuries, which I think I wanted to touch on today.
Totally. Yep. There's always bright spots to be taken, and giving people additional opportunities, and maybe finding some additional diamonds in the rough. But yeah, we're gonna need some guys to show up and step up. Especially with the way Robles has been playing and the way the offense has been sputtering, we're going to need to start finding that production in other bats. And I think that might be a good time to roll us into floating and floundering, because there have been some flounderers, no doubt, but there have also been some encouraging bats, some positive signs. So why don't you lead us off? I led us off last time.
Yeah. So I'm actually not going to talk about the bats first. I'm going to get my flounderer out of the way because I have to. It's not fun to talk about. It's something that I know you and I, a player that you and I both like, and it's tough. But listen, Bryce Miller, we love you. We love Big Tex. The guys, the mustache is my hero. But if you look at his baseball savant chart, you just look at that, and the guy is just not performing. He's basically all blue besides the barrel percentage. He's only above the 50th percentile in fastball velocity, which is expected from him. He's got a good fastball, and barrel percentage. People aren't barreling him up that much. But everything else, he's not throwing strikes. He's not striking people out. He's walking more people than we were expecting. Ground ball percentile is low. Hard hit percentile is low. Like, everything that you're seeing from him is just not indicative of a good pitcher right now. And you can see that in his 2 starts so far. He's given up 7 runs. He's got an ERA over 5, and is just... It's not convincing. He's got 8 strikeouts to 5 walks. It's just hasn't been that good. And I don't know necessarily what to do about him. I think he's a guy who just needs to kind of find his groove, and I don't know what that is. But this was the fear, right? We talked about him at the start of the season, where it was like the regression for Bryce Miller could happen this year, and I think people kind of talked it off, and they were like, "This guy's a dog," but in a way, his FIP was not indicative of the ERA that he had last year, which I think was why there was regression expected. For those of you that don't know, FIP is fielder independent percentile. That basically takes out or into consideration, like, did your team, does the field, like all that stuff, does that affect your projected ERA? Like, is your ERA lower than what it would be expected or higher? And the FIP adjusts it accordingly. And so his FIP was higher than his ERA, which meant that in general, he was getting luckier than you would expect. If his ERA was higher, then his FIP would be, or then he would be getting unlucky, in which case the team would not be performing well behind him. But
and it's worth noting, FIP's a good stat, but it's a real 3 true outcome stat in that it basically punishes typically pitchers that have a lot of balls in play. It's basically saying, like, let's balls in play create weird outcomes. Let's ignore them. Let's look at home runs, walks, strikeouts. Yeah, hit by pitches, everything where it's, something, deductive happened at the outcome, and just look at that. So, yeah, we don't necessarily expect Bryce Miller. He's not a George Kirby. He's not a guy that's going to live on putting balls in play. He's more of a Castillo type in terms of he should be living on strikeouts. So he should be a FIP appropriate player to look at. But yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, he didn't really match up with what we were expecting, and we are seeing some regression. I'm just, I'm going to raise the red flag of cautious optimism. It's been 2 starts.
Yeah. I was going to finish with that, but I'm glad you also have that opinion.
Of course. There's no doubt that it has been some tough outings for him. He's only made it through 11 innings in his 2 start. Castillo's done 17 in 3 starts. Kilbert's done 17.2. I guess when you add a start, that's actually not that much more impressive. But yeah, the 7 earned runs is very tough. His statistics have been down. I love Bryce. Like, obviously Gilbert
as a dude,
Yeah. Well, he might just be like my favorite pitcher on this team.
Says the guy with the George Kirby jersey. Wow.
But how insane is this? I love George Kirby. I got that jersey 2 years ago, and he is my 3rd or 4th favorite pitcher.
Yeah, he's been usurped by everybody now.
He's been completely usurped. Still a great jersey, though. But yeah, I love Bryce, and I do think he's a dog, and I am willing to just give him some time. Maybe he was having fun during the offseason. Who am I to judge? Luka Doncic comes into every season 40 pounds overweight. Give Bryce 2 starts to warm up. But no, a very appropriate flounderer with that type of ERA.
Yeah, and keep it in mind, when we're doing our floaters and flounderers, it's on like maybe if have they performing over 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, it's not a season-long thing. Like, it's going to be very reactive, and we look at a lot of game logs and stuff like that when we do this. So don't be
100%.
super worried about Bryce Miller as we talk about him.
Yeah, and that's another good point. This is literally a weekly check-in. So we could have a guy batting, 180 who's our floater for the week because that week he's batting 320. So, yeah, very worth considering. I like what you're saying. Let's start negative. It's been kind of a negative pod so far. We should end with some positivity. So I'm going to start with my flounderer for the week, and I do think it's time to talk about our boy, Donovan Solano.
It's fair.
It's the curse of the mid-30s Mariners transfer. It's not worked out for us, I think, 4 years in a row now.
Something like that.
But with the way Polanco is playing, which we'll touch on shortly, maybe we found the way to break the curse. Is you just keep the guy and then get a new guy. Don't let the guy go like we normally do.
Just transfer the curse to a new man.
Exactly. And now we can set Donovan Solano on fire or something, and Polanco seems to be completely free of the curse. But yeah, Solano, 37. I was a little worried about this, but he's coming off a year in 2024 where he batted 286 with 81 hits, 300 at-bats. This was a very solid, effective player. And it's been a brutal start to the year. 18 at-bats. He's generated 2 hits and is batting 111 with a 111 slugging. Not sure if you guys know how slugging is calculated, but that means he has not slugged. There have been no slugs on site. He is a farmer's dream when it comes to slugs.
The pesticide has been sprayed.
This is some non-organic bullshit, the amount of slugs on site. 222 OPS. It's been tough. And, it's small sample size, but it's now been 2 weeks of essentially nothing from Donovan. Help me out. Talk me off this cliff.
Yeah. Here's the note. It's been 2 weeks. I'll give you the Bryce Miller spiel that you just gave. It's been 2 weeks. He's a guy. He's a guy who, yeah, he's 37, and his calling card has been his batting average for basically his entire career. But he's also a guy who, I think plays better when he gets more time. He just needs more time. He's playing kind of spot positions where it's hey, you're going to get a game at third base today, and then in 3 days you're going to get a game at first. And it's just, he's all over the place, and I think he needs to either settle into that role or kind of what happened to Luke Raley last year, where it was the beginning of the season, the Mariners didn't know what to do with Luke Raley, and then they figured out they were playing him 3-4 times a week once they figured out that Mitch Haniger wasn't good. And once he started playing more, he kind of got into his groove, and we really liked Luke Raley at the end of the season. I'm I'm hoping that can be what Donovan Solano does. And obviously with the injury to Bliss and Robles out, that will put Luke Raley in the outfield. It'll put Donovan Solano in the field way more. And obviously with the Polanco off days that he's been given, Solano he's going to get more playing time. I think the Mariners are a little scared of that, but you got to put him in that 8 spot and just see what happens. I think he's a guy who can, if given this time and given these at-bats, work something out.
Yeah. And I guess that's when we're talking about bright spots, that's a real potential bright spot to come out of these injuries is he does appear to be a guy that he needs time.
He needs volume, yeah.
He needs volume. Yes, volume is better said. And he's 37. He's been doing this for over a decade. He's not a guy I'm worried about like I am with some of these younger prospects when it comes to put them into a bigger role. That'll go great. I do think he's a guy who will perform better with a bigger role. So hopefully, some positivity can come out of some of these injuries by getting Solano going on this team in a role. And then if potentially we get some guys back from injury, that could just mean a deeper, healthier lineup. But yeah. I do think he needs more. It's always tough when somebody's playing as poorly as he is, and the medicine might be more opportunity because it might mean more strikeouts in the short term. But yeah, small sample size. But I'm sorry, Donovan. It's pretty bad. Most of the players on the Mariners, we don't have batting averages where John Kerry wants them, but he's currently sitting at lowest on the team. With the exception of Rowdy Tellez.
Rowdy has been rough. Rowdy has been bad. I haven't wanted to talk about him, and we don't really have to. But this guy, he just hasn't done anything.
We'll talk about him next week. I already had Donovan Solano takes. Now I have Rowdy Tellez weeks, but I want to give him a little bit of time because the stats are atrocious.
Yeah, you could expect 2 things of Solano, and it's going to be two very different outcomes. You either get the Mitch Garver outcome where he just sucks the entire season. You're like, when is this guy going to turn around? And it just never happens. Or the Luke Raley outcome where he's just given more at-bats and he'll turn it around. So I don't think he's going to be kind of the middling player that like Colton Wong was or something like that. Like he's either going to suck or he's going to be great and it'll be okay.
Yeah, at the very least serviceable. But yeah, I hope we learn from the Garver experiment that, okay, if we're halfway into the year and he hasn't turned it around, let's cut bait because we waited for Mitch right up until the very end.
Yeah, the guy's making $4 million. Just get rid of him.
if
it happens.
But yeah, we'll give Solano a little more time. We believe. Rowdy, we'll see.
Yep. All right, I will take my next player, and I'm going to take a floater, and it's going to be one of the more obvious ones, but we have to talk about him because I really want to talk about one specific thing that has changed in this batter's approach, and it is Julio Rodriguez. I have to talk about him. The guy he's walking at a crazy clip. He's in the 75th percentile in walk rate. Granted, it's been 2 weeks, but it's like this guy last season was in the 22nd percentile. He's looking, in terms of his approach, a lot more like Randy. And I think that's something to look at and say, hey, maybe whether it's Randy or whether it's the Edgar kind of coaching style, these two batters have very similar profiles. And Julio's walked 8 times, only struck out 16. Like that's a good differential. Julio is prone to strikeouts, and he will be for a long time. But if he can bring up those walks, get on base, he's still hitting at a decent clip. And when he hits it hard, right? He's got 3 home runs already in the season. His average is going to increase. But if you look at his average and his on base percentage, he's hitting 184 right now. But his on base is 322, and his slugging is 429. It's like this guy is. If he can get his average to 250 and still be walking at this clip, this is that's like an MVP caliber season from Julio. Like that's how good this could be if he continues to do what he's doing right now. So I have been very much enjoying Julio's approach to the game, and whether that is from Randy or from Edgar or from something else, I'm loving it. Randy, if you look at Randy's Baseball Savant, you see basically the same exact numbers from strikeout to base on ball percentiles. So I think they're just like becoming the same player, and maybe Julio will hit his Randy apex just like Randy hit in those playoffs a few years back.
Totally. Yeah, I think, there are a couple possible outcomes. I do not doubt that Edgar Martinez is having an effect. I just think, once again, these guys are the best at what they do, and this is kind of one of my philosophies about coaching is I just love former players that coach because especially when they're former greats, they just command respect in a way that other guys don't. It's not, there are great coaches out there that haven't played at an elite level, but when Julio Rodriguez is being told by some, 5'2", 130-pound white guy how to be a better hitter, there's got to be some level of like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. But when Edgar Martinez is telling you how you can improve, his ears just have to perk up a little bit. I also think there has to be some positive, vibrations coming from having Randy Arozarena on this team. This was part of my thing when we acquired Randy. Julio has never had a superstar teammate on offense, not a pitcher.
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert doesn't have any advice to give him. Superstar offensive teammate like Randy Arozarena. He's never had that. He's had some, really awesome slugging guys on the team, but nothing like Randy in terms of star power. And yeah, I have no doubt that just seeing Randy's approach and trying to just play a little smarter is beneficial. And I think what Julio is already finding is that when you're patient, you can generate more home runs that way than when you're just chopping away. So I hope that we continue to see what we're seeing. It's been, I don't care that he's batting under 200. We know the batting average will get where it needs to get. The approach stuff has been awesome.
Yeah, his base on ball percentile has doubled already this season so far. And, maybe eventually they'll start throwing him more sliders away and he'll start chasing those. But as of right now, he's been recognizing those kinds of pitches and laying off of them. And that's the biggest everybody's qualm with Julio last season was, hey, this guy swings at every single slider away. Well, he can't do that anymore. And he's been recognizing those, and he's walking at a great clip. His approach has improved so much. And like you said, I think having a superstar in Randy ahead of him and also, or like kind of helping him from above, and then also actually behind him in the lineup, lengthens that lineup in a way that he can feel a little bit more protected. Pitchers have to pitch to him. They can't just be like, oh, it's Cal Raleigh and then a crap lineup. Like there's a few guys after Julio that they will have to pitch to, and Randy is one of those guys, and it's very nice for Julio.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's also good for Julio in that it puts some pressure on him to make smarter choices. Because, when it's a really shallow lineup behind you, it's like, okay, well, what, coach, you're going to chew me out for trying to get a home run on this play? Like, how else are we going to generate runs? But when he's having bad at-bats and taking away opportunities for Randy Arozarena to generate RBIs, then it's like, okay, no, Julio, we need you to play smarter out there. There are real opportunities. So, yeah, I think there might just be some good things coming together with how all that is shaking out.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Yeah, Julio, deserved. Love to see it. You completely threw me off because that's not who I thought you were going to take for your floater. And now I have to talk about that guy because he's been so good. So I was going to talk about
that's
Jorge
right.
Polanco.
I saw Julio's name and I was like, fuck, I have to talk about him.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was lame of me too. We talked about Polanco floating last week, but I just have to touch on him this week. He's continued to play amazing. Between his age and his rough year last year and paternity leave, having a new kid, he's basically only playing every other game, but he's been just phenomenal. He's had 2 more exceptional games where he has been our best offensive player in the last 6. He's batting 400 on the year. He's got 2 home runs. His baseball savant page is a thing of absolute beauty. It's like the reddest of red. This is red carpet red. He is in the 100th percentile in expected batting average. So it has not been fluky.
It's not lucky at all. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the 90th percentile in expected slugging, which we can expect to drop like a rock over the course of the next couple of months, but we'll take it while we have it. His sweet spot percentage, 93%. His K percentage, 90th percent. He's just been of otherworldly bat. It's so funny. It's all been delivered onto Donovan Solano. We should be thanking Donovan for taking all that curse. Obviously, nobody expects Jorge to be hitting 400 at the end of the year. I just beg you, Jorge, don't drop below 270. That's all I'm asking.
That's a big ask. I'm gonna be honest. That's a big ask, John.
Yeah, it would be his highest in 3 years, but he's built himself a nice cushion here. Just try to maintain, my guy. The weather's getting nicer. I believe in you. I think he's in a great spot in this lineup. I think they've really found a good position for him, and he's really making it work. So he's not even my floater because we have to talk about this other guy, but Jorge, continue to do your thing. My actual floater for this week is the other guy whose batting average is much higher than you may expect, and that is our boy Dylan Moore. An old head, a fan favorite, and a guy who has been, up and down. But boy, is he up right now. He's, batting. Sorry, Savant doesn't have his most updated stats. He is batting .308. He's got 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases already, which I just love to see. 4 walks. He's just been really effective, and he's been getting a lot of run. He's already got 30 plate appearances, and I've been really impressed. We've always talked about Dylan Moore being a guy that can be really good if he's in the right role. That seems to be the case right now.
Yeah, the concerning thing is with the Bliss injury, maybe he'll get some more playing time, but at the same time, it's like he's got 28 at-bats on the season before. I think this is before today. I'm looking at ESPN right now, not Baseball Savant, but he's got 28 at-bats, and that feels like just the right amount. Like he's a little over half the games he is playing, but he's also getting 3 days a week where he's not playing, and that is very nice for Dylan Moore. Don't get him overexposed. Let him be in the lineup when he's got, you got a left-handed pitcher on the mound, that kind of situation. And those are where we find Dylan Moore thrives. And we talked about this at the beginning of the season. We want to put these players in the position to succeed. And Dylan Moore so far has been in a great position to succeed.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. The concern is with the injuries, overexposure.
Yeah.
But maybe that's part of the case. Let's not put more of this on Moore where he's thriving. Let's put more of this on Donovan Solano. Before we started the pod, you and I were talking about, it's like, oh man, I know he just became a dad, but like, why isn't Polanco playing more with his success? And you made a good point of like, why mess with a good thing? Obviously, part of it's just his situation right now, but also if it's working for him so much better than it was last year, maybe we found a formula that works. And I thought that was a really good point. So yeah, maybe we don't touch the guys that are doing really good things, and we try to adjust roles with guys.
And then we put Leo Rivas and Miles Mastrobuoni and Dominic Canzone in those roles, and then things will work out, right?
Mastrobuoni's had some good games too. We're not out on Mastrobuoni.
No, we're not out on Mastrobuoni yet. He's hitting .333. He's doing well so far.
Former Cub.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was our guy last year. He was from the Cubs, a really small guy from the Cubs that I was talking up before the season, and then he completely stank it up. Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember who was on the team last year.
He sucked. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was a former Cub, and I was talking him up. Oh, he's going to be a really solid role player, and then he was awful all of last year. So I'm not going to make that mistake with Mastrobuoni. I'm just cautiously optimistic.
Oh, all right. Well, we're a little past time, but real quick, I just want to touch on these next couple series, and then we'll let John get his take on the NCAA March Madness tournament. But we got Texas coming up at T-Mobile Park, and then we've got the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. 2 series of a team that is expected to be way better than the Mariners in the Texas Rangers, and by way better, I mean like 3 wins. But still, it's a team that people are a lot higher on than the Mariners right now. And then the Reds are a team that's kind of middling, similar to how we've been feeling about the Mariners for the last little bit. So I'm excited for these 2 series. I think the Rangers series is going to be big in terms of setting the pace for our play in the American League West, right? We split the games with the Athletics, 2-1 against Houston. If we can go 2-1 against Texas right here, that'll make me feel amazing, even if we go 1-2 in Cincinnati. I was going to say, if we get swept by Cincinnati, I don't want to talk about that. But if we go 3-3 and we win the Texas series and lose the Cincinnati series, I think I'll be happy about that. So what are your thoughts about this upcoming week?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to stay focused on the division.
Yeah.
Obviously, the record isn't where we want it to be, and I would love us to sweep every series we play in. But with the slow start, I do think maintaining some advantage in division is really important for this team. So, they're all big series for sure, but I'm really, really looking at the Rangers series. That one's so important. Going 2-1 would go a long way of making me feel better about what has been undoubtedly a slow start to the season for the Mariners. Reds, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Marlins, we got some fun competitive series in the works. But if we can get out of this Rangers series with a plus 2 game record in division, I would feel very positive. And then hopefully we can just kind of build. There's going to be an adjustment period. We've lost 2 players from our offensive rotation. That's going to lead to some struggles, I imagine. But in the short term, I would love to get out that Rangers series with a win. Reds are good, but we should beat them. Blue Jays are going to be tough. That's the next series where it's like, okay, we might just have to be okay with 1 and 2 on that one. They are cooking right now. But it's been an interesting start to the year, but I think there are signs of optimism.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that. Signs of optimism. I'm looking at their schedule right now, and 3 of their last 4 losses have been in extras or the 9th inning, which is a good thing to look at when it's like, okay, we're not crumbling. It's just close games, and we lost a few of those. But at the same time, 4 of our 5 wins have been by 1 run. So we're unable to really kill teams. And I would like to get just 1 or 2 games where we score 8 runs and beat a team 8-3 or something like that. That would make me feel very happy.
Yeah, and I'm just pleased. In the last 8, we've dropped 1 run 3 times, and those have all been losses. I guess I shouldn't be pleased that 3 out of our last 8 games we've dropped 1 run. But when we don't do that, we are very good and very competitive. Just got to give these pitchers some help. So. I think there have been real signs of life with the offense. We just need to get rid of some of those pathetic outings.
Some of the duds. All right, the floor is yours, John. Talk to me about Florida. Talk to me about the NCAA tournament. I'll get a takeoff at the end.
Yeah, a super fun tournament. Honestly, fuck the haters that were upset about all 1 seeds. The Final Four and the championship were super high level, fun basketball to watch. And obviously Houston had that amazing comeback, or maybe Duke had that amazing collapse. In the Final Four on that side of the bracket. But I just want to touch on the Florida Gators, who are our 2025 national championship, and well-deserved. What a crazy run they had in terms of really competitive games where they needed to come back late to win the game. They stomped the hell out of 16-seed Norfolk State, no surprise. They were down 6 against UConn with 2 minutes left and came back and won that game. They smacked around Maryland, mostly in the second half, but they took care of that game. But then the last 3 games, the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and the National Championship, they were down to Texas Tech. They were down 5 with 3 minutes to go.
I know they were down 9 at one point and hit 3 threes in that Texas Tech game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was that insane ending.
Yeah.
Where
I think they had 5 minutes left when they were down 9. But yeah, that was a crazy turn.
Yeah, and then just hit all the threes. And then Auburn was up 9 at half. I think they were up 11 in the second half. It was the only time this season Auburn's been up 5 or more at half and lost the game. And Florida came storming back in the second half to beat 1 seed Auburn. And then in the national championship game, again, Houston was up 6 or 8 at half here. I got it right here. They were up 3 at half, but then built up that second half lead. They were up, I think, 11 or 12 at one point. And again, Florida came storming back for the win. Honestly, I watched a lot of Florida basketball this tournament. I had them in one of my brackets, and they led me to glory. But I want to shout them out. I think this was one of the greatest tournament runs I've ever seen. They had to go through a 4 seed, a 3 seed, and 2 1 seeds to get here. So it was by no means a cakewalk. And they were time and time again put their backs against a wall. And their ability to dig deep and come back. I thought it was amazing. I just wanted to shout out Florida. We're a Washington sports pod, but we're going as far away as you can to shout out one hell of a performance by that team. Yeah,
I think it can't go unstated how great Walter Clayton Jr. was in the tournament. I think his performance alone could go as one of the greatest NCAA tournament performances of all time. To carry, even if it's a 1 seed, to carry a team like that through comeback after comeback after comeback in very intense games. Houston, the way that Houston came back against Duke was insane. And for them to have given up a lead, that team felt like their defense could have carried them to the championship easily. So for Florida to be able to come back, to be as effective as they were offensively, and also be as good as they could defensively, shout out Ruben Chinyelu, our Washington State transfer to Florida. Got to shout him out.
Huge.
He was really big in the tournament for them, and I think so before the tournament, I looked at Florida, Auburn, Alabama, and Tennessee, the 4 top SEC teams, and the only team that stuck out to me statistically was Auburn. Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida all had very similar stat ratios and everything like that. But the one thing that you can never account for is just the teams that have just a couple dogs and a guy that can turn it on scoring wise. And it was that was Walter Clayton Jr. and this team So really, congratulations to them. Got to shout them out. Yeah, the SEC won it this year. I didn't want to give them credit, but they did end up winning. So we got to give them credit where credit's due.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think Houston's going to remember that stings a bit to kind of collapse the way that they collapsed, similar to how Duke collapsed against them. Yep. So there's always some degree of that, but yeah, still, man. And yeah, you made a great point about. Sorry, I'm pulling up other things. About that guard of theirs, just absolutely tremendous the run he had. He was averaging like 24 points a game, Clayton Jr., going into the championship game. So obviously huge numbers over the course of 5 games. He only had 11 points in the national championship game. He had some big shots down the stretch. Yeah, I think he had 0 points. He didn't have
zero. He had 0 in the first half.
Yeah, but still, that was just like an all-around team game in the biggest moment. That was, I mean, Clayton. You're 100% right. The magic he put together to get them there, but what they were able to do as a team in that final game, I thought was really impressive. Yeah. And the last thing I want to say on it too is just because it's also worth noting. Shout out to the Huskies women for winning another championship there. Our girl Paige, played her way out of a Sparks jersey potentially, but congratulations to them. Great for them. They did a great job driving to the win too. But it just it shows the difference between like really competitive basketball and less competitive basketball, where maybe UConn's just a way greater team this year than like Florida was, but I watched the UConn USC game for the first half until Juju got hurt. That's all I watched of that team this year, because they were stomping everybody. They beat their 12 seed by 34. They beat Oklahoma by 23. They beat USC by 14, UCLA by 34, and South Carolina by 23. They just weren't very close. Fun basketball games. Yeah. And that's obviously, not UConn's fault, not Page's fault. They're going to try to beat a team as bad as they can. But it was a little bit of a bummer coming out of last year, where the men's tournament struggled a little bit and the women's tournament was just electricity. It really went the other way this year. And that's, it's 1 year. But the men definitely had the storylines in terms of really fun, competitive games with crazy comebacks and all sorts of things. So shout out to the Huskies, but I will remember 2025 as the year of Clayton and the Gators. Jump on.
Love it. All right. Anything else to say, John, before I sign us off? This is it.
That's it. That's all I had.
All right. Week 2 of the Mariners season in the books. For John Carey, I'm Tyler Cartwright. This has been the Sound Up Seattle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode of Sound Up Seattle, please feel free to give us a follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. You can find us on YouTube and see our gorgeous faces every single week at Sound Up Seattle. Email us your questions, comments, concerns at soundupseattle@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Sound Up Seattle, all lowercase, all one word. You can find me, Tyler, at TyCart50 everywhere it's important, and you can find John.
Really shifting my focus to the NBA, man. I love this time of year. It's April, baby. All the other sports are dead. Baseball's just getting going, and I'm all in on the NBA. I'm just sorry we don't have a Sonics team to talk about on this pod.
I know, man. It'd be the perfect time for it. Ugh.
It's soon, man.
2 years. 2 years. All right. With all that being said, let's go Nerds, baby.
Let's go M's.